The city was buzzing with excitement as a charity gala took place in one of the grandest venues. Prominent figures, wealthy philanthropists, and well-meaning citizens gathered to raise money for children in need. But Clint Eastwood wasn't there to admire the evening's glamour. He had a deeper reason for his presence. A man named Vincent Hale had been making headlines recently, portraying himself as a savior for the underprivileged, collecting thousands of dollars in donations. But Clint had learned the truth. Hale wasn't helping anyone but himself. He was siphoning funds, using the donations to fund his lavish lifestyle. Clint wasn't about to let this man get away with exploiting people's goodwill. He walked into the gala, his sharp eyes scanning the room for the man behind the facade. Vincent Hale, standing at the podium, smiled as he spoke to the crowd, telling his sob story about the children he supposedly helped. The crowd listened intently, hanging on his every word, and the donations flowed in. But Clint wasn't buying it. He stepped into the spotlight, causing a ripple of unease through the room. "Vincent Hale!" Clint called out, his voice cutting through the murmurs of the crowd. The room fell silent as Hale looked around, recognizing Clint immediately. "What do you want, old man?" Hale asked, his voice dripping with arrogance. Clint took a step forward, his gaze unwavering. "I want the truth," he said, his voice firm and filled with the weight of justice. "You've been taking money that doesn't belong to you, !" Hale's face twisted in annoyance, but the smugness never left his expression. "You don't know what you're talking about," he sneered. "I've helped more people than you could ever imagine." Clint raised an eyebrow. "You think helping people means filling your pockets?" Clint said, his voice now low and filled with resolve. "The truth is out. You've been stealing from these good people, pretending to care while lining your own pockets." Hale's expression faltered for a brief moment, his confidence starting to crack. "You have no proof," he said, his voice shaking slightly. But Clint wasn't moved. Clint stepped forward, pulling out a folder filled with evidence: bank records, donation receipts, and anonymous testimonies. "These are the receipts of your lies," Clint said, slamming the folder onto the stage. The crowd gasped as the truth unfolded. "This is how you've been siphoning money. This is how you've been stealing from people who thought they were helping." Hale's face turned pale as the documents spilled out. "You can't do this," Hale stammered, trying to back away. "You don't have the power to stop me." Clint's gaze remained cold. "You've been getting away with it for too long," Clint said, his tone unwavering. "And now it's time to face the consequences." The people who lived in the neighborhood began to gather, stepping out of their homes to watch what was happening. Clint didn't back down. He stood firm, unyielding, a symbol of justice in the face of greed. Reynolds looked around, seeing the faces of those he was pushing out, and for the first time, he hesitated. Clint turned to the crowd and spoke to them. "This is your home," he said, his voice strong and reassuring. "You're not going anywhere, and as long as I'm here, neither is this developer." Reynolds tried to make one last move, but Clint was already ahead of him. The authorities, who had been alerted by Clint's actions, arrived just in time to put a stop to the demolition and freeze Reynolds' operations. As the police took Reynolds into custody, the crowd cheered. The people had fought back, and Clint Eastwood had ensured their victory. He didn't need recognition, and he didn't need a thank you. He just needed to make sure that the innocent weren't trampled by greed. And if you want to see more of Clint Eastwood's brand of justice, where no one gets away with destroying what doesn't belong to them, subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon, because Clint always fights for what's right.